Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Fnatic might be taking a big step forward going into the upcoming VCT season, with Boaster revealing he's looking for Aim coaching to get even better in that department going forward. FNS replies in a bit of an interesting comment we'll certainly dive into in the coming minutes, but given the fact that Fnatic is stacked with so much talent, Boaster good in 1v1s, great in-game leader no doubt, but his aim has at times let him down. Could this mean Fnatic are going to be unstoppable going into the new season? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, big news coming out of Matthew Elmore here. So McE, of course, former coach for Cloud9, is now coaching the Maryville Esports Collegiate team. And this is, I think firstly, this is very cool for the collegiate space. What McE could potentially do with this team and attempting to bring these guys into the Challengers ecosystem. But at the same time, man, you got to feel for McE, right? Because this guy was potentially in conversations to be Fnatic's next coach after, Mini Jake stepped away and everything that's been going on there at Fnatic recently, and they made their changes. McE was then building his roster on Cloud9 again. That looked like that was going to be the case. Zelsis comes through, and, they changed their mind at the end of the day. Zelsis, of course, ends up on Sentinels anyway, but the belief is that, the roster that McE was building wasn't falling under favor, and therefore Zelsis came through, built his own roster, then he dipped out to Sentinels, and in the meantime, McE was out of there, right? Kind of crazy in a way that McE as well, he effectively brought Jake in to their team from the collegiate space, and now Jake is in the pro league, right? He's in the franchise partnership league, and McE is dropping all the way down. So kind of surprised that he didn't get an offer, like a better offer from, not even necessarily tier 1, but certainly you'd think tier 2. But then again, these colleges do have a fair bit of money behind them, so I don't imagine that he's having a particularly hard time. But yeah, still, it's caused a lot of controversy whether people are sad about this and thinking, well, it's pretty depressing that he's gone from tier 1 to tier, 3, really, or whether this actually is pretty cool for the collegiate space. Hopefully it works out for all parties. But as he goes on to say, my goal by making this move is to encourage young adults that collegiate is a viable route through tier 2 while helping set themselves up for success long term. There's some uncertainty out there in the tier 2, tier 3 space, and it makes sense to me that collegiate can help naturally fill that void. Aiming to take the first collegiate Valorant team into challenges. If you're interested in Maryville or collegiate at all, let's talk. So pretty cool draw as well, actually. The idea that if you're looking at potentially applying to some of these colleges, maybe just go to Maryville and work with McE on their Valorant project. That could be pretty exciting. Now, FNS is starting up the streams again today. I'm not exactly sure what happened to his hand here, but he says, I can't play, man. And he tweets this out with, some bandages here, like some plaster on his thumb. So not exactly sure what he's done, but I'm hoping all's well here with FNS, and he's going to get ready to go soon, but probably not helping his play at the moment. And that was a big talking point of a few months ago. This back on July the 4th or July the 5th, I guess, technically, it was when the famous tweet was made, see you in Dallas, buddy. So if you guys remember this, Aimbot Neon, this guy, this, cracked out aimer kid, right, as he said that he was, and actually he turned out to be when he actually got to Dallas in the end, was talking about the game and he wasn't happy with certain features. Shazam responded and said, basically just clowned on him a little bit, and then Neon goes in replies and says, I'll see you in Dallas, buddy. Now, what this referred to was the eventual tournament that was held shortly afterwards in Dallas, the Red Bull Ready check, where we see Neon here, who ended up placing 3rd, I believe, and Shazam, they turned up, and basically, you were just shooting blue spheres, basically it was like an aim bot or whatever it is, aim labs, right, challenge type thing, and they just played that, and the winners won. So, there was obviously a debate, just because pro players were saying, well, nice, you can shoot blue spheres, but how about shooting heads in a championship final? That's like a little bit of a different level. It doesn't matter so much if you're shooting spheres rather than actually delivering results in the server itself when you're playing a real game against real people. So that was where the controversy came from, when you've got the cracked out aimer community who, obviously they're good at the game because they can aim well, but they're not so interested in being good at the game and the other things that it takes to be a good Valorant player. They're more interested in being the best raw aimer in the world, which is also fair enough in its own regard. So in esports, especially in the world of FPS shooters, 5v5 games such as Counter-Strike and now in Valorant, there's always talk about the aim of the IGL. Does it matter if the IGL can shoot straight? Guys like Angel, for example, over there on, well, he's now on Na'Vi, right, for the new season, as he was last year, FPX, of course, before that, and back on the Hellraiser stage, for example, and always, let's say Na'Vi and Counter-Strike, Zeus, for example, right? Some of these players that, weren't known for having great aim, but yet their abilities to in-game leads, to understand where their teamwork is needing to be, to call what's going to happen with their roster, where that outweighs the ability. The idea of like, an aiming IGL, someone like, let's say, Gen.G, for example, who can seemingly do both on a pretty good level, that's very valuable, but fundamentally that's always been relatively few and far between, because a player that's got to concentrate on everything going on from an in-game leading perspective is often going to have a bit of a harder time shooting straight anyway, and often it's players towards the end of their career, not necessarily end of their career, but players past their prime mechanically, who, are a little bit older and more experienced. They tend to be more, better candidates to be in-game leaders, and mechanically they don't tend to be as good. And also, there's a lot of players that aren't particularly good mechanically, but if they happen to be an in-game leader, they can still be a very valuable asset if you've got 4 great players around you. So this is always the conversation with the likes of FNS, for example, a player that isn't known for having great aim. He even, got roasted for it just the other day. But also the likes of Boaster, for example, player on Fnatic, who is known for being, great in-game leader. Fnatic achieved a lot this season, and he has an incredible team around him. And without Boaster being their in-game leader, it's doubtful they would have had anywhere near as much success. However, if Boaster could aim better, this is always the thing. How about you just get a better IGL that can aim better? It's always the thing in Counter-Strike when Karrigan will join a team. He's, okay, Karrigan can play well, especially with the scout and stuff like this, but he's not known for having the best aim in the game. But still, Karrigan always delivered so much for so many teams, but eventually what would often happen with the likes of Nico, for example, is that Karrigan would be on the roster for some time, and then they wouldn't do so well for periods, and the star player would say, all right, you're not good enough, you're not aiming, you're not getting enough kills, it's time to go, and they'd make some other change. And that's usually not a good idea, but still, if Karrigan could aim better and he got 3 more kills per map, would that help? Obviously, yes. But sometimes it can go a little bit hand in hand where players that are, influential to your results aren't necessarily going to drop crazy kills. And when you've got 4 players dropping big numbers, then I guess that's fine. But it's always been a talking point, especially around Boaster, when even this guy Meech comes back in March and says, Boaster, please, I'm begging you, go DM right now, get that aim and movement crispy. I know you've got 4 killers on your team, but if you're getting kills, Fnatic are unstoppable. Best IGL, good luck. And then we fast forward to yesterday where Boaster says this year I'd say my performance has improved. However, after watching Worlds, I feel like if Faker, age 27, can still have so much mechanical impact, of course in League of Legends, then I should try too. I'm comfortable at in-game leading, so there's no harm in wanting to win more duels. I'm looking for an aim nerd to coach me and gain that extra 1% improvement. DM me if that's you. So quite fascinating really, because I think it's a real feeling, I think, that most people have that, well, you're either mechanically gifted or you're not. Not to say Boaster isn't mechanically gifted, because he is compared to 99.9% of the player base, but compared to the top 1% pros, Boaster doesn't have the best aim. But I think the feeling might be, well, that's just kind of what you've got. You've got aim or you haven't. But you can obviously improve it. You can obviously work on it. But I don't think many, in-game leaders have really talked about this idea before. They usually think, well, I'm going to in-game lead. I'm not here to get the frags. And that's what my team's here to do with my direction. So the idea that Boaster's saying, all right, what if I just get 1% better at aiming and I get 1 more kill per map, for example? But I can still do the other things as well. Like, that seems like a good investment of time. So FNS then responds and says, look, I'd help you out, but your roster is already a cheat code, so I think I'll pass. So FNS is like, oh yeah, I'll be your aim coach. Obviously known, not maybe for his best aim FNS, but it's the same story really with FNS, right? Like, he doesn't necessarily need this, but as FNS tweeted out saying that he's looking for aim coaching, not necessarily, but especially because you'd think if you were getting aim coaching, you'd get it from, within your own team, or let's say from your own teammates, who are some of the best aimers the world has ever seen in the world of VALORANT, right? I mean, the likes that he's got on this team, Chronicle, Leo, Durka, Alpha, like, you'd think in there somewhere there might be someone to help Boaster, but apparently not. He's looking for an aim nerd to help coach him. So is that like aimbot Neon, or is that one of these guys, one of these cracked out aimer players? But also, like, what can they help him with? Go into a lobby and shoot spheres? Like, they can't control his arms for him. So I think it's just a matter of practice, and but I guess knowing what to practice and how to practice is a question that these aim nerds might have a better answer to than just the incredibly naturally gifted pros that he has on his roster. And this is a consistent trend you'll see at events. This, for example, Masters Tokyo, when Boaster had a 100% win rate in 1v1s. So, his brain is clearly very big. There's no one disputing that from an in-game leading and from a clutching perspective. But when you look at overall numbers for the series or for the tournament, you'll get this. Now, it doesn't, and Boaster actually had a 1.05 to be fair as well, but it's like, when this is your team, it just doesn't matter, you know what I mean? It largely just doesn't matter much, but still, it's not like they won everything. They still came fourth at the World Championship, and sure, if Boaster got an extra couple of kills, maybe that shifts the tide somewhat, but when you've got Alpha, Leo, Chronicle, Durka, you know, you're not expecting your IGL to do the kills. You know, it's not necessary a lot of the time. But then again, if you can get one more per map, does it win them an extra, you know, big map in a big series? Definitely yes, and if it's not going to affect his other play styles, then sure, let's go for it. It's pretty funny from his own teammates as well, because they're trying to figure out, all right, like, you know, what do you mean, Boaster, and, you know, what do you mean, like, you need an aim nerd to help you aim better, you know, like, just play more ranked, you know what I mean? Just get in ranked and just keep playing. And Boaster does actually respond to this and say, well, you know, my teammates aren't really aim nerds. They just play so much that they're actually pretty good. So I guess he thinks that he needs someone that can actually help him in that regard. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this. If it works and Boaster gets like an aim nerd coach, maybe that's you. Maybe that's you watching right now. You could be Boaster's aim coach, which always makes me wonder exactly what that would even look like, what that would even mean. Whether his aim coach tells him just to get on aim labs like 24/7 and just grind it out the whole time, which maybe is the way to do it. And maybe his coaching and his team don't feel like they can help him out any better than might otherwise be the case, but still kind of remarkable. And if this works out with the rest of the team that Fnatic have, if Boaster's getting some more kills, I mean, like, they were tough to beat last year. This year, they're going to be, you know, maybe even tougher to beat potentially if this is going to be the case. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.